Welcome to another Lore You Should Know segment. I am Greg Tito, and I'm joined by Adam Lee.
Hello, Greg.
Hello. Today on Lore You Should Know, where we talk about little bits of Dungeons & Dragons lore for fun and profit in your D&D game, we just announced Baldurs Gate Descent into Avernus.
Yes,
there is a lot in Avernus, and things go in there, but on the material plane, there was a group in the Forgotten Realms called the Hellriders.
Yes.
And we are going to find out about them and what they do right now.
Dun, 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 dun. So the Hellriders, this lore goes way back. I think 2nd edition is when we start first hearing little smatterings of it, but I could be wrong. But that's sort of my knowledge of it. And
that's not what Chris does.
Yeah.
He's like, it was in dungeon number 72,
Yeah.
Pulling this from his memory. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that.
And he probably wrote it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Exactly.
I just wrote it one day. And it's amazing how he knows every issue of Dungeon Magazine.
Don't get it.
I don't know how he does it.
It's this. It's not even strange anymore to me because I'm just like, oh, that's just what Chris does.
Yeah, it's uncanny. I've just ceased to see how miraculously weird that is.
Exactly, me too. But in any case, you're right. 2nd edition was where this began.
And there's like little bits of this group called the Hellriders, and basically what they did was, got together and rode into hell and fought in Avernus and tried to beat back the devils there.
So they actually went into the plane of hell?
They actually
and that's why they're called Hellriders?
Yeah. So, these warriors, we decided when we're coming up with like, okay, we know we're going to go and do an adventure in Avernus and all that. Let's try and flesh out a little bit more about who these characters were and what they were all about and how it all came to pass. So the deal is that we kind of put in there that they were actually led by Zariel, and that Zariel, who was at that point an angel, and she was part of the celestial hierarchy, and she decided one day that she's tired of just watching the blood war from afar, and she was like,
because we had talked about on a previous Lore You Should Know segment about like how she was a celestial that was tasked with basically going to the first plane to be like, watch, just watch, don't interact.
So she sees the human beings and she says, these short-lived creatures are very intense. They do accomplish so much in their lifetime. I'm going to go down and I'm going to kind of take a page from their playbook.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take matters in my own hands and go to be action. So she goes down and she trains these soldiers to become this crack squadron of hell-fighting warriors. And so she drills her way and saws through the wall and gets through the sheetrock.
And she's like, oh,
yeah.
Now you're warriors.
Warriors. So she takes the Hellriders and she trains them up, and then they ride into hell. And the deal is that they get in there, and we're going to say that they got betrayed. That as they ride in there was some kind of, either it could have been they chickened out, like a bunch of Hellriders chickened out and they came back, or they were betrayed by a nefarious evildoer, or they could have been a plan by Asmodeus a long time ago that he's like, I foresaw this all, and now I'm going to trap some of you in there just because he saw Zariel as an angel and he wanted to corrupt her. We're going to leave that up to everybody else. But what happens is that most of the Hellrider, or they weren't the Hellriders then, they were just this awesome army. Most of them turn back, and they go back through the portal, back to the material plane, and they seal it behind them, trapping Zariel and a good portion of her force in Avernus to rot. Now, this is a shameful act, but the Hellriders, they ride back to Tyrell, which is sort of their home base, and they're hailed as heroes, and they keep this thing a secret. They say, we're not going to tell anybody what happened here. We're just going to go back and we're going to say, we went into hell, we dealt a significant blow to the devils, and now we are coming back as conquering heroes.
Okay. Were they all like paladins, or were these just warriors at the time?
They were just warriors. So in Tyrell later, so when they get back to Tyrell, they keep the shameful secret.
And is Zariel still with them?
No, Zariel is trapped in Avernus. They
see.
seal the portal behind them. and they're just like, screw this, and they seal
And
it.
by they, is there anyone who's like a speaker for them, or is it just a collective?
No, there's no speaker. It's just kind of like a group of people, and they just sort of make a deal with each other. Now,
What are the numbers here, just so I can kind of? Is it like hundreds or is it tens?
it's hundreds.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hundreds, and
But not thousands. Not
no,
like
not thousands.
Okay.
It was a very small number that went in there. So when they come back, they are then dubbed the Hellriders. Before that, they're just this army that goes in, but when they come back, they're like, "Oh, you guys are great. You're the Hellriders," you know, and all these bards now start writing tales about their sojourn into hell and how they defeated, a bunch of devils, and they came back victorious, from their battle. But they know, the Hellriders know, that they kind of betrayed their friends, and they sealed the portal, and they either chickened out, or they believed somebody who told them a tale and said, "Hey, whatever,
You should turn back.
You should turn back."
Right.
So so they go on. Now, from that point on, Tyrell then becomes even more of this. Now they've got this Hellrider sort of myth that's going on, and Tyrell even becomes even more this sort of holy city.
Now, where is Tyrell in the Sword Coast?
So Tyrell is about, if you go, and Baldurs Gate is right on near the coast. Tyrell is about 300 so miles inland.
Okay.
Or east.
Like directly east of Baldur's Gate?
So there's a river Chianthar, and it goes along. So you just follow that river along, and then you'll get to Tyrell.
Got it.
So they're kind of sister cities. They do trade back and forth on the river.
Right. 300 miles sounds like a lot. But
It's a lot, yeah.
But on the river, it's easier to traverse.
Yeah, and there's not really much in between those two cities. There's like little weird, ruins and some little villages and some gnome mining towns and things like that. But nothing significant like Baldur's Gate, Tyrell, the two big cities. So the Hellriders are then a band of warriors that have this sort of this past that says, we are these tough, hardscrabble warriors who were brave enough to ride into hell when nobody else would, and we came back with this victory. And now Hellriders, if they are chosen by a god and then they become paladins, they turn into the companions. And the companions are this elite force of paladins that are in Tyrell. So those ones are, every Hellrider either wants to stay a Hellrider, or the ones that join the Hellriders, then they eventually are like, we want to do our time in the Hellriders and then eventually become so good that we become chosen by a god, and then we can become paladins and then join the companions.
I see. So it's almost like a hierarchy type
Yeah.
thing.
And the companions are named after, like later on in Tyrell's history, after the Hellriders and all that stuff, later on, Tyrell's taken by a vampire lord and, thrown into darkness, and it's like looks terrible. And that's when there's this star that arises up above Tyrell, and it's called the Companion. And that star then destroys the vampire lord, wipes out the undead, and then makes Tyrell the sort of what it becomes, in the modern day, which is this shining city on a hill. It's got this beautiful magical star over it that wipes out undead. People flock there from all around, and you've got the Hellriders and the Companions, a group of elite paladins. So it's like all this holiness, and it's just sort of glowing, and it has this sort of mythic past of fighting devils. So it's really this big, holy city, and it's kind of the cat's meow of good people, and good warriors.
And it's a good contrast between its sister city of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, which is basically, a den of scum and villainy.
With, three evil gods having a bit of sway there.
Yeah. Bane, Baal, and Merkel do have their past there, and it's well known that Baldur's Gate is sort of the place where you go to do deals and smuggle and do all kinds of shady stuff.
It's not exactly a lawless city, but there is not a lot of law there.
No, yeah, and in Baldur's Gate, you have your upper city, which is where all the law is. The Watch is there. There's sort of this sort of well-funded police force, and then as you go down the hill to lower city, You've got your flaming fist, which basically are like thugs. They will beat you if you step out of line. So Law is like brutal and fast and hard. And then you get outside of Baldur's Gate to the outer city, and that is just kind of lawless. Like you
Free-for-all.
can, anything goes there. So
Now, do Hellriders appear in Baldur's Gate often?
Yeah, they Hellriders ride all over. Tyrell is actually part of a nation called Eltergard. So when Tyrell becomes more and more powerful, it kind of turns into Eltergard. And what happens is that with the companion star and all this all this stuff going on, that Tyrell starts to say, we are going to protect all the surrounding people. If you join us, if you join the nation of Eltergard, we will protect you. We've got Hellriders, which are now kind of almost to like 2,000, 3,000 strong.
Oh wow! Okay,
And
that's their standing army.
Yeah, as their standing army, and then the companions now are probably about 300 paladins. So they're moving out. So Baldur's Gate is a little bit nervous about this because here's this nation now. It's a holy nation. It's got Torm as their sort of major deity. Paladins are like in force. And they are sort of pulling these cities in these like little towns into their fold, and it's just appearing to be more and more
of a threat.
Yeah, more and more of a threat, and they don't know exactly what the intentions of Tyrell are. The High Overseer Thavius Krieg, they're like, what is this guy all about? What does he want? And does he see Baldur's Gate as sort of an evil thing that he wants to take over? Is Tyrell a violent? Are they going to like usurp us? Just by saying, "Oh, you're evil, and now we're going to take you over," or is it more of an evangelical thing where they're just like, "Hey, we're awesome. Come join us. Check it out. See what you think. If you like us, all right, come on, join. Be a part of Eltergard. It's cool. We've got hot coffee and
come
cocoa."
to our meetings where we talk about Torm and all the wonders of following good deities.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So, but Tyrell and the Hellriders and all that, they're not a part of the Lord's Alliance, correct?
No. Lord's Alliance is Baldur's Gate, Waterdeep, Neverwinter, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
what's the relation to size between? Is Tyrell as big as Baldur's Gate or Waterdeep?
I'd probably smaller, but Eltergard, if you take all of it together, it's bigger.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and the Lord's Alliance, hasn't been able to crack into this place because Tyrell is kind of like, hey, we're not going to follow any kind of other club. We've got our club, and it's like shining lights and stuff, So,
we're all good.
We're following that kind of thing.
And that's what the leader is. What's his name?
Thavius Krieg.
Yeah. That's his deal.
That's his deal. Yeah, he's all down with that. So, and
he's down with Torm.
He's down with Torm, and Thavius Krieg is kind of part of the reason why he, Tyrell is where he is. It is where it is. Thavius Krieg is. The rumor is around it that Thavius Krieg is one of the people or the person who, through his piety and his devoutness, brought the companion star into being.
Oh, okay.
So he, because he was so tight with Torm, then Torm's like, here you go, buddy, and poof, this companion star. So that's what the people say about how this thing came into being. So
interesting. So he's got a lot of sway. And so when did that happen?
So
what's the right? Because the Hellriders was like hundreds of years ago.
Yeah,
right?
The Hellriders is like 1350 some. Dale reckoning. So
that's only like 100 years ago then.
Yeah. So it's not. Yeah. And then the it's
150.
A bit longer. But now the companion star happened probably 60 some years ago.
Okay.
So it's a while ago, within like a human lifespan, or maybe a little shorter than that. And so for the past years, the city has been completely free from undead, and the Hellriders have expanded because of the legend, and the sort of, every young kid wants to go join the Hellriders to be,
All right, so here's a question, and this is something I don't know whether it's in the book or not. Can you be a Hellrider as beginning in Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus?
Sure. I mean, if you ask your DM and you're like, hey, can I be a Hellrider? Yeah, why not? It'd be fun, and it would definitely would sort of change, like, it might change a little bit of how you would think about the world, but not all Hellriders have to be good. That's the one thing. You don't have to be a good guy. You can, but you're definitely not an evildoer.
Right.
You're not a paladin.
You're a soldier with a good tint. On it.
You're a soldier who wants to smash some evil. You want to go fight devils. You're looking to sort of either, depends if you're really a sort of an Elter Guard
native.
Yeah, and you love this place, you would want to tell people about it. You would want to say, hey, if you're scared being in Baldur's Gate and you want a little more security, come out to any one of the cities within the nation of Eltergard, and we will protect you. And and if you see,
because we've got these awesome warriors and we've got these awesome paladins that are backing us up.
Yeah, and we're on the right track. Like a lot of the people from Elturel feel like, hey, this thing's working. Like we like the way this thing is going. And we seem to have a good leader, and we seem to have a good set of values. And we're moving in the right direction. Whereas other places, they've had their problems, and there seems to be they don't have that where the whole city is behind sort of the direction of the leadership. So
nice.
But yeah.
Be a Hellrider. I like
be
that.
a Hellrider. Yeah. In fact, we should get a T-shirt. Yeah, and they have their own. They have their own standard, and they have their own sort of like their look. And
yeah, I feel like it's got like a almost like not a rock star quality, but like it has like a path to greatness. There that I feel like would inspire a populace.
Yeah, totally. And a lot of the old Hellrider weaponry, like there's probably some museum in Elturel where that has sort of the old devil fighting weapons. Maybe there's like a giant claw that was used to hook horned devils out of the sky that's magical or something like that, or silver tipped stuff. A lot of the old Hellrider weapons were silver,
so they could deal damage to devils, because it has to be either magical or silvered to do so.
Yeah, and then some of the old books written by the Hellriders would be talking about what Avernus was like, and how you would deal with it. How would you handle the stuff? You might even get some lore about what soul coins are, and just and then how to avoid this and how to avoid that. So any fighter who was going to take a quest into Avernus could go to Elturel and look through the Hellrider archives and find out for themselves firsthand knowledge and firsthand lore about what it was like by these old warriors who went in there.
Interesting. And then is there anything about the apparent secret of what happened to them and how they split off?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we've left that open. And as we're creating the lore, in this case, with the sort of the new stuff about how Elturel, Elturgard, the Hellriders, and all that stuff ties into Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, we've left that open to interpretation.
The dungeon master.
The dungeon master can make it up however they want to be, and if they want to say that, so and so they betrayed them, or that nobody really knew what happened. It was just a panic. It was just like a human sort of impulse to just bolt and run from this tremendously, intensely horrifying place. That could be a thing that, let's say, a conceivable possibility could be that, you're a Hellrider, you're with Zariel, she's an angel, you're in her aura, you ride down in, but anybody outside of her aura, or if they got separated, and somehow that, Zariel and her forces went off that way, and they got separated and went off this way within a matter of a couple days or weeks, those people could be terrified, lost, not knowing how to survive in Avernus. It's a completely alien, weird world. It's something that they never imagined. It's warped and weird, and time and space kind of act differently down there.
Yeah.
and they got lost, and we've got to get out of here. And so they just run for it. And then they seal the portal up behind them because they don't want that stuff spilling back up into the material plane. So they could have done all the good things, and it was just human weakness that caused it. And then in their own sort of, weak moment, they just pawned it off and said, "Oh well,
we kicked
got,
ass.
well, yeah, we
Devils
did
are gone
good."
now."
Because
Right.
when they return to El Tyrell, they're met by a cheering mass,
Yeah.
and then just to say that, yeah, we completely botched it. It was all
Wasn't-
borked.
It's an interesting kind of way that history is told, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
who knows about, what occurred in classical times here on our Earth, for example. Like we have some firsthand accounts, but what if that firsthand account was just
Oh yeah,
made up, right? Like,
Yeah.
things we know about, say the 300 story of like,
Oh,
they were
yeah.
fighting. That who knows what actually really happened, right? But it's become this myth and this legend, and I
Yeah.
like that kind of thing is rippling through the Forgotten Realms, and it's up to interpretation. Maybe even what the players will discover along the way in this adventure,
Yeah.
can illuminate some of it.
And at that time, there was, Dragonspear Castle was happening, and there was like, devil activity there. And they might have just come back and said, if we don't tell a story of humans triumphing over devils,
Right?
like,
It was a PR moment.
yeah, if we don't tell that story, people are going to lose hope.
Yeah.
And this burgeoning holy city will just collapse and just
Interesting.
lose faith.
So some of what you talked about was that in adventures and stories that were told through second and third edition, or is that?
Those were just from like little clips and snippets from source books, and then most of that stuff was lore that we generated over the course of creating Descent into Avernus. So, because we wanted to fill out that story, there was this. This city was a thing in the lore. There was Dragonspear Castle was a thing in the lore. The ride into hell was a thing in the lore, but it was only like little bits and pieces were told about that.
Oh, I see. So broad strokes.
We
and then,
wanted to give it some more beef, and then we tied it in with Zariel. Like how, one of the questions we wanted to answer was like, how did Zariel come into being? Like she's a fallen angel, but what's the story there?
right? How did she fall? Right?
Yeah, how did she fall? And
Right.
we're like, well, how about at this moment? It was when we tied it in. We're like, okay, she was the one who led the charge.
Got it.
What gave these humans the courage to actually open up a portal to hell and ride down there?
It was,
And
we
we're
had
like-
we had an angel on our backs.
Yeah, and so in the lore, it says this guy Lord Delt was the dude who did it. But we're like, what if Lord Delt was also kind of buoyed with courage because there's an angel in his midst?
Got it.
And maybe Zariel was like, I want to keep myself on the down low. Like, I will train you in secret. I will come down to you guys, because she didn't want to get spied out by her, because if
Maybe she is Lord Delt.
could have been. She could have just shapeshifted and wiped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she's had that power. Interesting.
You just created some lore, man.
I just made it. It's
Yeah.
lore you should know now that it has been made.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, tons of great storytelling possibilities there. I
Oh my
can't wait
gosh.
for people to jump in when they get Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus in September.
Yeah.
If people want to pester you, not pester, if
Oh,
they want
please
to ask
pester.
you wonderful questions about lore or any of this, how can they get in touch with you?
Adam Adventurer, and I'm on Twitter. And yeah, shoot me all kinds of stuff.
Adam
because-
of Adventure.
Adam of Adventure.
One word.
Of one word.
One word adventure.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, cool.
Yeah, it was a
Well,
lot of
thanks a
fun.
lot. And we will be back with some more fun things in the future. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, good stuff.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, I feel like I can talk forever about what happens in the lore.
Oh my gosh. There's
But-
so much more.
There's so much more.
There's so much more.
You're
lore.
just going to have to find it all out
I
when
know.
we get there.
Yep.
Thank you for joining
thanks, man.
here on this time. Thank you to everybody who's been watching on Twitch. We are going to say goodbye with 1 minute to spare for Binwin Plays, who is going to be taking up the streaming right now from the D&D Twitch channel. How's it going, Scott? Good to have you. Hi, Corey. Watch them play some Idle Champions very
Cool.
soon, and we'll be back next week with some more fun Dragon Talk.
Sweet.
Thanks, everybody.
Dragons talking.
Talking about stuff.